Some houses creak, some houses settle, but this house, it whispers. Every night at exactly 3 a.m., a voice rises from its walls, soft, cold, and unmistakably human. People who heard it were never the same again. Tonight, we open the door to a mystery that has haunted this town for decades. This is the chilling full story of the house that whispers at 3 a.m. Breathing heavily, Emma rose from the cracked floor of the obelisk chamber, her muscles trembling but her mind sharpened, understanding that disrupting the obelisk was only the first step. To survive, she had to escape the house entirely, a task far more perilous than merely confronting its shadows. Using the patterns she had meticulously observed, the symbols she had traced, and the guidance of her shadow ally, she began plotting a route through the constantly shifting corridors, carefully avoiding areas where the house's energy remained strongest. Every step was deliberate, measured, as the walls shifted subtly, as if trying to redirect her into traps or dead ends, and the whispers rose in warning, fluctuating between threats and grudging instructions, guiding her even as they attempted to manipulate her fear. Emma retraced paths that she had previously mapped, utilizing hidden passages and rooms revealed through her manipulation of symbols, mirrors, and rituals, while carrying the parchment, vial, and key as tools, both for defense and for maintaining influence over the house's energy. Shadows stalked her from the corners, some following directly, others flickering in and out of reality, testing her reactions, probing for hesitation. But Emma had learned to anticipate these movements, using her knowledge and courage to evade them, and even redirect some of the minor manifestations into temporary containment. Along the way, she uncovered remnants of previous escape attempts, broken objects, faded journals, and spectral echoes of visitors who had failed, their whispers offering fragmented lessons, both warnings and guidance. Emma realized that the house itself was adaptive, learning from every intruder, and that her path required constant innovation. Repeating the same actions could trigger its full wrath, and hesitation could prove fatal. As she approached the main staircase leading toward what she hoped was the front door, the house intensified its resistance. The floor shuddered violently, walls twisted into impossible angles, shadows lunged unpredictably, and whispers screamed, "You cannot leave, you belong." Forever. Yet Emma pushed forward, recalling the alignment of symbols from the ritual and the protective influence of the shadow ally, channeling the obelisk's disrupted energy to carve a temporary corridor of relative safety. Every step demanded precision, courage, and focus. A single misstep could plunge her back into chaos, or worse, allow the house to claim her permanently. And as the distant clock began to toll 3 once more, Emma felt the oppressive weight of the house's sentience pressing against her from every direction. Yet within that pressure burned a spark of hope. She was no longer a passive victim. She was an active participant in her own survival. And if she could maintain control, manipulate the house, and remain steadfast, she might finally reach the threshold of freedom beyond its dark, whispering walls. Emma's steps echoed through the warped halls as she neared the upper floors, the oppressive energy of the house pressing down like a living weight, each corridor twisting unpredictably, each doorway shifting in ways that defied logic. The shadows, now furious from her previous successes, surged with renewed intensity, their elongated forms lunging, slashing, and coiling around her, while the whispers reached a deafening crescendo, layering centuries of malevolence, fear, and despair. Every instinct screamed for her to run blindly, but Emma forced herself to move deliberately, recalling the protective symbols, the guidance of her shadow ally, and the lessons embedded in the journals of those who had come before. She encountered rooms transformed into nightmarish traps, staircases that led nowhere, ceilings that lowered threateningly, and mirrored chambers where her reflection mocked her courage, shifting into grotesque forms, urging her to despair. The house attempted to overwhelm her mind, projecting phantoms of past victims and distorting memories, twisting time and space until she felt seconds stretch into hours. Yet Emma clung to her focus, breathing steadily, tracing symbols in dust and chalk to stabilize the corridors and create narrow passages through the chaos. At one point, the shadows coalesced into a massive, writhing figure, an amalgamation of every trapped soul,
and advanced toward her with intent to consume. Summoning every ounce of courage, Emma recited the ritual aloud, invoking the disrupted energy of the obelisk and directing it through the protective symbols, forcing the shadow to recoil and fracture into smaller, more manageable forms. She pressed onward, each battle of will, dodging collapsing walls, avoiding gaping chasms that suddenly appeared, and navigating corridors that bent in impossible geometries. As the toll of 3 approached once more, signaling the peak of the house's nocturnal power, Emma saw the faint glimmer of what she hoped was the front door, faintly illuminated through the distortion of space, a beacon of freedom. Summoning her courage, she sprinted toward it, the shadows lunging in vain behind her, the whispers screaming and wailing as if enraged, and for the first time she felt a taste of triumph, a fragile, fleeting sense that she might finally escape the relentless whispering nightmare that had hunted her so relentlessly since the moment she stepped inside.
Emma's heart pounded as she neared the glimmering doorway, the distorted hallways of the house stretching endlessly behind her, shadows flickering with malice and determination, whispering threats and taunts that clawed at her mind. She realized that the house, sensing her imminent escape, had concentrated its full power here, warping reality more violently than ever. Staircases twisted into impossible angles, walls pulsed like living flesh, and the floor beneath her feet seemed to writhe, trying to pull her back into its dark depths. The shadows, now a writhing mass of contorted forms, surged forward, but Emma's shadow ally darted between them, distracting and guiding her toward the door. Her hands shook as she traced the protective symbols one final time along the corridor, the parchment and key vibrating with the residual energy of the obelisk, lending her courage and a tenuous control over the house's chaotic forces. The whispers escalated into a deafening roar, overlapping voices of every trapped soul, warning her that passing the threshold might trigger the house's ultimate retaliation. Summoning every ounce of strength and clarity, Emma sprinted, dodging grasping shadows and collapsing sections of the floor, keeping her focus locked on the door that shimmered like a distant beacon. Just as she reached the threshold, the shadows surged in a final, desperate attempt to reclaim her, twisting into the shapes of her deepest fears and regrets, voices echoing intimately within her mind. With a scream of defiance, she stepped forward, the protective symbols flaring with energy as the house convulsed, walls groaning and mirrors shattering, and crossed the doorway into the faint glow of moonlight outside. The air outside felt impossibly real, solid, and Emma gasped, collapsing onto the cold grass, heart racing, body trembling, as the whispers faded behind her, replaced by silence and the distant creak of the house retreating, as if acknowledging her cunning, courage, and endurance. Only then did she realize the magnitude of what had occurred. The house had tested her, sought to claim her, but she had outwitted its sentience, disrupted its rituals, and survived, earning a fleeting freedom from a nightmare that had consumed countless before her. Yet a faint unease lingered in her chest, a whisper of the memory of the obelisk, a reminder that while she had escaped physically, the house's presence, its dark consciousness, might never fully release its claim, leaving her with a lingering, haunting awareness of the whispers that had once dominated every corner of her being. Emma lay on the damp grass outside the house, shivering, chest heaving, and eyes wide as moonlight bathed the distorted, looming structure behind her. The oppressive presence of the house had faded, yet an unnerving quiet lingered, like the echo of a song that refused to end. For the first few moments, she allowed herself to feel relief, telling herself that she had survived, that she had outwitted the sentient horror that had threatened to consume her mind and body. But as she rose to her feet, brushing the dirt and grass from her clothes, she noticed subtle signs that the house's influence might still reach beyond its walls. Shadows flickered unnaturally at the corners of her vision. A faint whisper brushed her ear as if riding the wind, and the symbols she had traced in her rituals faintly glowed in her memory, haunting her thoughts. Emma's mind raced, recalling every detail of the obelisk, the rituals, the trapped souls, and the lessons she had learned. She realized that while she had escaped physically, a part of her consciousness had been marked by the house, forever aware of its rhythms, its patterns, and its whispers. The air felt heavier now, charged with a tension that reminded her that some part of the house had followed her, a lingering shadow embedded in memory, ready to awaken if she faltered. Yet she also understood that she possessed knowledge and tools the house could never fully anticipate, a strategic edge that allowed her to remain free, at least for the present. As she slowly stepped away from the property, the whispers faded into a soft, almost contemplative murmur, like voices evaluating their adversary, promising that the cycle was not over, only postponed. Emma realized that survival had changed her. Fear had become a sharpened weapon, courage a lifeline, and knowledge the ultimate shield. And while the moonlight bathed the house in a deceptive calm, she could not shake the thought that the dark, whispering entity still existed, biding its time, waiting for another trespasser, or perhaps quietly waiting for her return.
Days passed after Emma's escape, but the memories of the house clung to her like shadows that refused to release their grip, whispers threading through her thoughts, even in moments of silence. She began noticing subtle anomalies in the world around her, shadows that moved independently of their objects, fleeting reflections in mirrors that seemed to shift with a mind of their own, and the occasional murmur of voices echoing words she had heard inside the house. It became clear that the house's influence extended beyond its physical walls, that by surviving its trials, she had been marked, a living conduit for its presence in the outside world. Determined to understand this lingering horror, Emma revisited the journals, the ritual notes, and the fractured knowledge she had brought with her, piecing together the unsettling truth. The house thrived not only on fear and trapped souls, but on knowledge, courage, and memories of those who survived, making every escape both a victory and a bond with the entity's dark legacy. Emma took a deep breath, forcing herself to step forward, understanding that living meant carrying the weight of what she had experienced, the whispers now a permanent echo in her psyche, a constant reminder that the boundary between the ordinary and the supernatural could be fragile, terrifying, and unpredictable. In the quiet moments that followed, she reflected on the lessons she had learned. Courage alone was not enough. Intellect was vital, and understanding the rules of fear was the key to survival. As she walked away, the moonlight fading behind her, a subtle movement in the shadows suggested that the house watched still, patient, waiting. But for now, she had won her reprieve. The chilling truth remained. Some horrors cannot be fully destroyed. They can only be survived, adapted to, and respected. And the house, with its whispers echoing through time, remained a dark monument to that principle. Emma disappeared into the night, her steps cautious yet resolute, carrying with her both the trauma and the triumph of surviving a nightmare that had claimed countless others, leaving only the faintest trace of whispers behind. A haunting echo that would linger in memory, in stories, and in the imagination of anyone who dared to enter a house that whispered at 3 a.m. Emma escaped, but the house didn't vanish. Its whispers still echo through the walls, waiting for someone new to listen. The story may end here, but the darkness never does. If this tale sent chills down your spine, make sure to like, subscribe, and share, because more nightmares are on the way. And remember, if you ever hear a whisper at 3 a.m., don't turn around.